Travis Hunter and Sheduer Sanders had themselves a historic college football season, and they're finally getting the honors that they deserve.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Let me tell you about FanDuel. You could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, and become one of my everydayers. My everydayers are my loyal group of followers and viewers and listeners who tune in every single day, deal with this mug, deal with this voice, and we talk all things Colorado football. Let's talk about Colorado football. They released the Big 12 honors today, and as expected, there was quite a few representations from the Colorado Buffaloes, quite a few honors, if you will. But first, I think we got to start with the most important ones, which was Sheduer Sanders getting Offensive Player of the Year and Travis Hunter getting Defensive Player of the Year. So really, really big honors for them. Plus, they weren't the only ones. They were not the only players to be honored by the Big 12 today, as BJ Green, obviously the Arizona State pass rusher, he got Defensive Newcomer of the Year. So really big awards day for this Colorado squad. And let's just talk about what they've accomplished thus far, because I don't think people realize how great of a season that Sheduer Sanders and Travis Hunter have had. I think a lot of people recognize how good they've been, but at the same time, I don't think they realize how historic it has been. And so this is from a release from the school. And I just thought it was honestly needed to be highlighted, because these two guys are paving the way for Coach Prime to have long-term success at Colorado for as long as he wants, because these two players are showing, hey, we took a chance, went to Boulder, and did nothing but break records, get awards, and get honors, and win some games in the process, right? This Colorado team was one win away from playing in the Big 12 title and playing for the college football playoff. And I think that's going to be something that helps this program for years to come. So Travis Hunter, like I said, Defensive Player of the Year. He also was a first team offensive guy. Or no, he wasn't. Excuse me. He was not a first team. Yes, he was. What am I talking about? So first team all Big 12 offense. It was Sheduer. It was Arizona State's Cam Skattebo, RJ Harvey, Jared Casey from UCF and Kansas, Tetrone McMillan, former Buff Jordan Tyson. Travis Hunter was the wide receiver, or one of the wide receivers. Brant Keithick from Utah, and then the offensive line, and everyone else was not from Colorado. But let's talk about what Travis did this season. So he's the first player with 3 touchdowns and an interception since 1996 in a game. He had, in his final game, he had his 4th game of the season scoring a touchdown and having an interception. He has his 5th multi-receiving touchdown game of the season. His season numbers, or his 14 touchdowns receptions, is a Colorado record, breaking Nelson Spruce's school record by 2. He has 15 total touchdowns on an average of 19.2 yards per touchdown on the season, setting a new Colorado record. He's the second player to catch 90 passes in a season in Colorado history, and his 92 catches are the second most in school history behind Spruce, who had 106 and 14. Mr. Spruce was popping off. He also surpassed the 2,000 receiving yard plateau in his overall, or his 2,000 receiving yard mark in his career, counting Jackson State. For his career, he had 168 catches for 2,061 yards and 23 touchdowns. So quite a career for Travis Hunter. Also, he's probably going to win the Heisman. He was named a finalist for, I think, 4 or 5 awards, counting the Paul Hornung Award, which is given to the country's most dynamic athlete. And he'll probably win 4 out of the 5. I think the only award he doesn't win, most likely, is the Blitnikoff. And even then, 4 out of 5 is not too bad, especially when one of those awards is the Heisman. In terms of Sheduer Sanders, right, he had a massive, massive season. He set the Colorado record for passing yards with 3,000, or he surpassed 3,527. He's currently at 3,900. I think he'll obviously hit that 4,000 mark during the bowl game. He set a Colorado record for completions in a season. He set a record for passing touchdowns and touchdowns responsible for. And then these are my two favorite records for Sheduer Sanders. His completion percentage of 74.4 is on pace to break the previous record of 69.3, a record he set last year. His QBR of 169, on pace to break a record that was previously 152.7, when she's smashing that one. Also, which he set last year. So really big year for Sheduer Sanders and company. And what I really thought was impressive was, and I do think a lot of these guys could have got better honors, but Colorado had a bunch of guys who received honorable mention. So it was Preston Hodge. Travis Hunter was an Offensive Player of the Year honorable mention. Alejandro Mata, the kicker, he had a really good year, especially after people were saying that he should not be the starting kicker. I think myself included. I think after the first week, I was like, oh, here we go. I issued him my apology and sent him his flowers a long time ago. Taj McCoy, Defensive Freshman of the Year honorable mention, which he was popping pads seemingly every time he was on the field. DJ McKinney, he got honorable mention. Chidozie Nwankwo got Defensive Lineman of the Year honorable mention, and honorable mention for defensive line in general. Jordan Seaton, Offensive Freshman of the Year, and then offensive line honorable mention. Cameron Simon Craig, Mark Vissett, and LeJontay Wester, who was Offensive Newcomer of the Year honorable mention, and receiver honorable mention. And then Nikai Hill-Green also got second team linebacker, all Big 12 second team at linebacker. So quite a decorated squad for Colorado. I think it's a testament to Coach Prime never wavering in his transfer portal method. I think there was a lot of reasons to have doubts about it. And he showed that if getting the right players, he could contend. He could build a team that could contend for a conference title, and he could build a team that could contend for a college football playoff spot. And while Colorado didn't get either of those things, they were contending, right? They win that Kansas game, they're playing for a Big 12 title, aka they're playing for a spot in the college football playoffs. So really big year for Colorado. And I think hats off have to go to Sheduer Sanders and Travis Hunter for taking a chance and following Coach Prime to Colorado and Jackson State. And I think there has to be some sort of flowers given to Coach Prime for putting the right staff around him. I think that's one of the biggest differences this season compared to last, is I think he has the right staff around him. And I think that sort of made the machine that is Colorado fire on all cylinders. So really big props to Coach Prime, Travis Hunter, Sheduer Sanders, Alejandro Mata, all the guys that received honors. Props to them. Congratulations. And let's continue it. Let's see it in the bowl game. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Deion Sanders going to the NFL and why I think these rumors need to die down. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, give me 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. Share this with a friend so that way we can continue to grow our community. My everydayers, you know who you are. You tune in every day. You look at this mug, you listen to this voice, and we talk nothing but Colorado Buffs football, and we're going to continue to do so. There is a really, I think, unnecessary but common discussion, if you will, about Deion Sanders going to the NFL. And regardless of how many times he has said that he does not want to go to the NFL, people still keep talking about it. Michael Irvin brought up a point where he's like, the Cowboys, they want him. If he'd go there if he could coach Sheduer, right? And then other people say, the Las Vegas Raiders, he could coach Sheduer there. And it's like, I think we need to really question, or this is my biggest question for everyone that talks about Deion Sanders going to the NFL, because I saw a couple of anonymous interviews with ESPN. I didn't see them. I read them. And the question was, is Deion Sanders, is he meant for the NFL? That was one of the questions that they addressed. And this one NFL director said, he's a good fundraiser and college guys buy into what he sells. He tries to hire good coaches, but I have heard that he can be hard to work for, and I'm not sure NFL guys will be in as quickly and also stay in as engaged. And someone sent me this and was like, how are they going to do Deion Sanders like that? And I was like, at first I was like, yeah, that is interesting that people have that sort of notion about him. But then I was like, we're missing the point here. Deion Sanders, one, he said he doesn't want to coach in the NFL. So regardless of what people worry about or what people have heard or what they haven't heard, Deion Sanders said he does not follow his sons. He's not going to follow his sons to the NFL. He's not going to make it so his life revolves around them. He is his own man. They are their own men. And the other thing that I think people are overlooking, right? Because everyone's like, oh, he'll get so much more money. Colorado's going to back up the Brinks trucks for Deion Sanders. Why would they not? He just led them to their first 9-win season since 2016, their first winning season since 2016, not counting the COVID shortened year. And he has full control. He has full autonomy of this program, right? In the NFL, you would have to guarantee that Deion Sanders could do everything he wants, right? Colorado allows him, or part of their deal allows him to, one, have a son be the media guy. They allow him to sell his merchandise. They allow him to build the roster however he wants. They allow him to do whatever he wants. No NFL franchise is going to do that, especially not the Dallas Cowboys. They have a guy by the name of Jerry Jones who is threatening to fire radio hosts for asking him questions about why they didn't make any moves in free agency. And you're telling me that that's the guy that Coach Prime's going to want to work for? Also, Coach Prime has an innate ability to motivate young men, to motivate college guys, to get them to the next level, to have them see a vision of like, hey, I could do this. Once you get to the NFL, that is gone, right? I honestly think player coaches in the NFL, for the most part, I would never want a player's coach, right? I think it always goes bad eventually because at some point, the players in the locker room start to lose faith. They start to lose interest, right? We're seeing it with Antonio Pierce already, right? The players rally behind him and they're like, Antonio Pierce, he's our guy. And now it's like, okay, the Raiders are absolutely terrible. He's already fired 3 members of his staff, and that's kind of like a desperation move. Like whenever you fire 3 staffers in the middle of the year, that's a move of desperation. That's a, hey, I'm trying to do things differently so I don't get fired. That's a move like that, right? Mike McDaniel in Miami, I think he's a player's coach, and I think there's been a lot of backlash about the struggles that they've had. I think Nick Sirianni was another player's coach, and now he turned it around. But like players' coaches in the NFL don't always work. And Deion Sanders, not that I'm saying he's a player's coach, but he's a guy that likes to motivate, inspire, and push his players to do better. NFL guys don't always want that, right? NFL guys want someone who's going to be like, hey, this is a look that we're getting. This is a look that we're going to be putting out there, blah, blah, blah. They want X's and O's. They want whatever will put them in position to win games, make money, and take care of their families. For college football, Deion Sanders has the opportunity to sort of mold these guys into professionals, right? He has an opportunity to help them chase their dream, whereas in the NFL, he would not have that. So all of this to say, I don't foresee why Deion Sanders would want to go to the NFL, right? He won't have control over the franchise like he does Colorado's program. He won't have an opportunity to help mold young men into better men. He won't have the opportunity to help them chase their dream. And 3, he has this program firing on all cylinders right now. He has a chance to build something special. And I think if he succeeds and when he succeeds at Colorado, he has a chance to have a lasting legacy. And in the NFL, unless you're Bill Belichick, who even he got shown the door realistically, whether it was mutual, quote unquote mutual, it's hard to build a legacy in the NFL. Coach Prime is currently in the middle of building a legacy at the college football ranks. Why would he want to give that up? Right? I think it is appealing, I imagine, to spend more time with his son, right? I think Sheduer Sanders, maybe Sheduer Sanders probably wants some space, but I think as a father, part of him is probably like wanting to be a part of his son's life, even though he's a professional. But at the end of the day, they all know that there was going to come a point where they were no longer going to be on the same team, right? He coached them when he was a kid, coached them in high school, and now he coached them in college, right? And I think it's time to let Sheduer and Travis and Shiloh, it's time to let them spread their wings and do their thing. And I think Deion Sanders knows that. And I don't think these people really pushing this Deion to the NFL narrative are truly understanding of all the things that he'd be leaving behind in Boulder, Colorado. So that's my take on the NFL. You guys comment below. Do you think there's any possibility, scale of 1 to 10, that Deion Sanders leaves Colorado for the NFL? I would put it at about a 2, just because I feel like one is absolutely not. So I'll give it a 2 just because you never know, but I think it's a 2. I don't feel like there's any reason for him to leave. You guys comment below, scale of 1 to 10, what you think. When we come back, I'm going to be talking about the position groups that Colorado needs to attack the most in the portal, and I'll be ranking them from least important to most important. But first, a quick break. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, so make sure to like, subscribe, follow, become an everydayer. My everydayers are my tight-knit group of people who comment. They subscribe. They give me the 5 stars on wherever you listen to your podcast. We have a community. It's fun. It's awesome. And I appreciate all of the support that you guys give me. And the show would not be possible without you. Let's talk about it. Transfer portal needs. The transfer portal is popping. And we all know that the transfer portal is Deion Sanders' domain. So I'm going to go position by position and give you sort of a ranking of like which position groups I think Colorado needs to target the most, because I think it's blatantly obvious that what positions are losing the most, what positions need the most help, and so on. So on and so forth. Let's start with the offensive line. I think this one's going to catch a lot of flack, but the offensive line to me is probably the most important position to target again in the portal, because one, you have a good foundation with Jordan Seaton. I liked what I saw from Cash Cleveland. I don't know if Hank Zelinkas can move to somewhere else, like maybe he could be a guard or whatever, but he was solid at times outside of the snapping errors. But then the rest of the line was iffy. Okay, I know a lot of people want to say the line was improved, and it was. The line was better, but it wasn't where Colorado needed. They still ranked in the hundreds in terms of sacks given up. And then someone said 25% of those sacks were on Sheduer Sanders. And you know what I did? I subtracted 10. I did 25% of, I think they gave up 38 sacks on Sheduer. Subtracted 10 of them. Colorado still ranked 89th in the country in sacks allowed. Their rushing attack was ineffective because the offensive line was not able to get a big enough push. So they need an offensive line that can A, protect Julian Lewis because he is the future of the program, and B, open up the run game for whoever's at running back, whether it's Michael Welch, Isaiah Augusta, I don't care who it is, Dallin Hayden, open up the run game so that way it takes pressure off of the quarterback. So that's the position group that I think they need to target the most. The second one, I'm going to go to linebacker, and I say this because I liked what I saw from Levante Bentley and Nikhai Hill-Green. Obviously, Nikhai Hill-Green was a all Big 12 type of guy. You're losing both of them. They're both grad transfers. Brennan Gant, who I thought we'd see a lot more from him, grad transfer. He's done. The only linebacker that's returning that really showed any sign of being useful was Jalen Wester. Jalen Wester is not a linebacker. He's not the guy that I want headlining that linebacker group. They have Trevor Woods as well. Same thing. I don't want either of those guys being the main guy. I would like to see them contribute, but Colorado needs more guys who could help stop the run, who could cover. And Nikhai Hill-Green, he was popping pads. He was decapitating folks. Like, he was good. Levante Bentley, dramatically improved. So that's my second most important position, the linebackers. Then I'm going to slide on over to the defensive line because it was a lot of experienced guys that they're losing. Okay, they're losing Torian Carter, most likely, who's a redshirt senior. They're losing Chidozie Nwankwo, who's a senior. Shane Cokes, grad transfer. BJ Green, another guy. So you need guys in the middle who could stop the run, and you need guys who could pass rush. Obviously, they bring in a guy like London Merritt in the class, in the recruiting class, but you need more guys who could step in right away, college-ready guys, and that's where Coach Prime and Warren Sapp and Robert Livingston. That's where they're going to find success next year, is if they're able to get guys who could step in, fill these holes right away. So the defensive line, which it was a really good defense line. They led the Big 12 in sacks, right? They were very disruptive. They need that again so they can continue to build off of what they had. Sticking with the defense, I'm going to the secondary now. The secondary is losing Travis Hunter, Cameron Craig, Shiloh Sanders, and that's it, but that's still a lot, right? DJ McKinney can technically leave if he wants. I doubt he will. But I don't foresee why he would want to leave. It's one of those things where, and Preston Hodge, I mean, I guess he could leave if he wants to. But I really liked the core group that they had. Obviously, losing Travis Hunter is a big deal. They have Colton Hood, who I think could start. But you look at Preston Hodge, who he was a senior this year as well. He may have another year of eligibility. The eligibility stuff is still a little wonky because of the COVID guys and stuff like that. So we'll just have to wait and see, or if he has a red shirt, but we'll have to wait and see. But Preston Hodge, he had a really good season, so it wouldn't shock me if he tested the NFL waters. Either way, you need more depth at corner. You're losing Travis Hunter, who's the best corner in college football. That needs to be better. Next position, and I would hear an argument for this being higher, tight end. Colorado's biggest weakness on offense, I think, this year, outside of the offensive line, was the tight end being so ineffective, right? Savell Smalls, Sam Hart, those guys, I mean, serviceable. They did what they could. They were not enough, right? Colorado needs a tight end who could block and needs a tight end who can make an impact in the offense, in the passing game. And they're trying to find those guys. And then wide receiver, I think, is another one. I think you're losing Will Shepard, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester. All those guys are seniors or NFL bound. I think they're all going to test the NFL waters, but they're all gone. You leave Draylon Miller, Omarion Miller, Terrell Timmons. I liked Isaiah Harge in the final game that we saw him, but I think they need a little bit more, and it wouldn't shock me to see them go out and get some talent from the transfer portal at wide receiver. And then lastly, I want to go running back. I think they have a really good group with Isaiah Gustav, Michael Welch, Jalen Hayden. I think we more so saw them hindered by the offensive line. And then lastly, quarterback. I don't think it would hurt to get another sort of experienced quarterback in there to either back up Julian Lewis or maybe be the bridge starter. And I know a lot of people are saying Julian Lewis is coming in to start right away. I don't disagree, right? But you can't have all your eggs in one basket, right? What if he gets injured? You never know what could happen. And even if he's ready, or even if he's healthy, I mean, you don't have to start him right away, right? Arch Manning didn't start right away. Trevor Lawrence didn't start right away. C.J. Stroud, Justin Fields, the list goes on and on. Tim Tebow didn't start right away. Like all these legendary quarterbacks, Cam Newton did not start right away. So if Julian Lewis needs a week or two, that's okay. It wouldn't shock me if they just insert him right into the starting lineup right away. But hey, having an experienced and proven backup or a semi-proven backup behind him wouldn't hurt. At least I don't think. So you guys comment below. Let me know what you think is the most important position for Colorado to target in the transfer portal. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it in the comment section. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And I will see you guys tomorrow.